You know what's actually crazy? Right now, at this very moment in time, we are actually in the middle of the proper fight for true ownership of video games that you buy and play with your hard-earned money. For the past 10 to 15 years, I have been watching the gaming industry do everything it can to slowly erode away any sense of ownership and entitlement that you have over the content that they gleefully want you to buy every single time. And the crazier part is when you do buy it, they ask you to pay even more money, but yet for some reason they can remove access from any product that you've purchased, even if it is a single player game. And we've seen this entire thing happen over and over again, having to always be online with your internet in order to play a video game. And I've heard the arguments before,
"Oh, Alex, everybody has internet. It's 2026.
But the problem isn't whether or not you have internet access in 2026. The real problem is the fact that these publishers and developers control whether or not your internet access gives you right to those servers, or even when they lock games behind internet access in the first place. Diablo 3 was one of the biggest examples of this overall, where previous Diablo games had single-player modes that were completely offline. Even though Era 34 cropped up, if you wanted to play a single-player version of Diablo 3, you couldn't. You had to be logged on, and their servers were crashing and burning, and no one got to play, making your $60 game an absolute paperweight altogether. And the thing is, though, that's just one major example that I can think of right off the top of my head. Look at any other major video game that's been delisted recently. Not only from Steam, but also from just any store whatsoever. Look at companies like Microsoft selling games like Doom: The Dark Ages on PlayStation 5 with the actual disc, and you think, I got a physical copy. It's going to install off the disc and I'll be good to go. No, you're literally getting a paperweight, with that disc only having 85 megabytes of data, you having to be online to connect to servers to download the game and then actually install it onto your console in the first place. That is not a good sign whatsoever for actual ownership, even in the space of physical media. And the crazier part is we're watching physical media literally die right in front of us. Nintendo pushing out things like game key cards and people defending that, even though the game key card is nothing more than an actual key to give you access to download the game. When the reality is they're just trying to make you feel better about buying something physical. And then Nintendo had the gall to go around and raise the price of physical content another $10. And I think the most absurd part about all of this are people actually trying to defend the entire concept of game keycards and lack of ownership as well. Check this out. Here's Mugen Lord on Twitter saying this: "You know what confuses me about the entire Nintendo keycard outrage? Most of the people I know that are outraged about it play their entire game library on Steam. Your entire gaming experience is digital, so what's the outrage about it? Why does it matter that much about physical media when you don't own anything physical to begin with?" This kind of insane rhetoric that I've seen online consistently, especially about game keycards, is exactly the problem with today's gaming space. "Oh, Alex, you play all your games on Steam. You don't physically own them. Therefore, game keycards should be all right." No, that's not how this works. The PC platform has the ability to have DRM-free games, give you the installers directly, and also not every game on Steam requires the Steam application to even be enabled in the first place to in fact play those games. And to make matters even better for true ownership, even on digital format, you can in fact sail the high seas and get yourself the installer, save it on a USB stick or anything else, and never have to worry about it ever again, keeping a pure digital backup without any sort of disk rot in the first place. But you see, that tweet and that mentality that we see online is exactly the problem with gaming today. People hand-waving every other opportunity where they watch Nintendo and other companies close down their storefronts, shut down the ability to purchase games, and leave you with no true access on ownership in anything whatsoever. However, as much as some of these people want to go ahead and dismiss what's going on, there seems to be a massive movement, a movement that kicked off about 8 months ago with Stop Killing Games and Pirate Software basically kicking off the entire thing, even though he was completely wrong about it the whole time. And that, my friends, makes this completely bittersweet. Watching Stop Killing Games hit 1 million signatures and also go over to the EU to go ahead and verify and show why it's important to make sure ownership of games is kept across the board. But it's not just the EU, it looks like California and many other US states may be getting in on the fun as well. According to Dexerto, Stop Killing Games has backed a proposed California bill to protect players of online games. It wants publishers to provide an offline mode or keep the games playable after servers are terminated or give gamers a full refund. With the article from Dexerto saying this: the California bill in question demands that publishers provide an offline mode or access to the game even after the servers have been shut down. It also calls for a full refund if the publishers can't provide any support following the shutdown. Currently, the California bill that Stop Killing Games is backing is still just a proposed bill, meaning it's essentially a draft legislation that still needs to be debated, amended, and most importantly, passed by Congress and the president before it becomes law. So while it's not officially a law yet, it's a huge step for the Stop Killing Games movement and could mean players get more out of future live service games. The fact that we're seeing California make a bill to have this happen in the first place and Stop Killing Games backing it is a huge win for basically everybody. How many times have you seen live service games completely shut down and never work again, no longer having access to them, even though you paid your hard-earned money, you bought the game, you bought the microtransactions, you supported the devs, and what do? 2 weeks after launch, they pull the plug. High guard, anyone? Did I miss that for you guys? Yeah, that should really be a huge omission about what's going on. We've seen this happen over and over again. Games like X Defiant, games like The Crew, so many other Ubisoft games that are pushed out on a consistent basis and everybody putting their money into it while Ubisoft collects every single paycheck, shuts the servers down, and everything you purchased, everything you played is no longer accessible at all to you ever again. Pushing for the idea of an actual offline mode, even though we've had offline modes in multiplayer games since the early 90s and 2000s, really isn't a new concept or idea. And I find it incredibly shocking that even in today's day and age, when a game like Quake 3 Arena can do everything that we want out of video games, modern game devs and publishers refuse to do so, or they make horrible excuses saying that it's too hard apparently, even though we've had the tech to do it for the past 25 plus years. What really just drives me crazy is that people, for some reason, don't understand the concept or the plight as to why Stop Killing Games is important. And again, like we saw with Mugen Lord, trying to make excuses over other companies, stripping away actual physical ownership from you, it's not a good sign overall. Imagine you buying a $80 video game. Hell, that's a horrendous thing to do in the first place. And then going home, realizing that the disc is nothing more than an actual coaster, plugging it in, having it approve the key, and then going through and downloading the game. Then it turns out the game actually flops, and 14 days later, hey, sorry guys, we're gonna pull the plug on that. Hate to see it. You know what I mean? This directly coincides with a lot of issues concerning with DRM, or digital rights management, and that's really one of the bigger issues why so many PC gamers truly hate something like Denuvo. Denuvo actually goes ahead and counts every time you change a Proton layer in Linux as a different installation. So if you go through and are testing different kinds of Proton versions to get a better experience, it's going to count that as an installation, and if you do it more than 5 times, the DRM literally locks you out of playing the game for the 24 hours. Imagine that, a game you bought legally, that you purchased, that you cannot install more than 5 times a day because you're changing a different Proton layer on a Linux distro. That's 100% completely absurd. And then to make an even bigger example about the entire thing, with the lack of ownership in games media in the first place, look at a game like Resident Evil 9. It had Denuvo DRM. It had great performance, but it turns out that once the crack for Denuvo was applied and it was no longer accessing your system, performance of the game of Resident Evil 9 literally increased overnight, giving you a better uplift overall and a better experience. Imagine that, not paying for the video game, downloading the crack, and having an illegal copy, in quotation marks, is actually a better overall experience than the one given to the literal person who paid full price for the game and got to play it overall. How does that make any sense whatsoever in this space? This is actually nothing more than control in what game companies are trying to do to remove access from you and control what you can play, how you can play it, and how often you can play it as well. And to prove my point even further, here's a site that we see, unfortunately, all too often. Wario64 on Twitter said this: various Disney games have been delisted on Steam. This is what I'm talking about. This is the real issue. This is how we're seeing actual publishers in the gaming industry control what you can and cannot buy. Due to the licensing agreements that they've made with Disney in the past, these games are no longer accessible to you, besides going around and finding them on shady websites. Clearly, not giving the company any money, not supporting the devs, and then at the same time, them losing out on possible sales. Then apply that same logic and idea to what we've seen recently with so many other live service games, not only coming out, but also being shut down, while people pour their hard-earned money into these games to get just a little bit of entertainment every single day. But thankfully, things may be on the change and the turnaround, because it looks like Ross from Accursed Farms and even Stop Killing Games are making some actual headwind, and we may be seeing some big changes in what the gaming industry doesn't want to have happen. According to PC Gamer, Stop Killing Games delivers absolutely incredible hearing in European Parliament. There was no Parliament member that wasn't responding positively. You know what? I gotta give it up to this guy. I really do. I used to be a big fan of Pirate Software. I used to really like his content. Did you know that he worked at Blizzard for 7 years? Second generation Blizzard employee, by the way, just in case you guys didn't know. Oh, he also ran a ferret rescue. Did you guys know about that? Just making sure you guys knew. And the thing is this, if it wasn't for Pirate Software being such a massive streamer at the time, and also putting a huge spotlight in the most negative way, mind you, onto Stop Killing Games, this would have actually never happened. Ross would have never gone to the EU Parliament, California would have never had the bill to push everything forward to give actual customers refunds or an offline mode in their video games, and the actual ownership of video games would have never crossed the threshold in the first place for us to finally have proper digital rights in today's gaming space. Here's a perfect example of what I'm talking about. This is like, what, a third of my PlayStation 2 collection? I got some pretty good stuff here already and some other games I like to play as well. And the thing is, I can take any of these games, put it into my PlayStation 2, and it's just simply gonna work. No matter what, I can pop that disc in and it's going to work no problem. The issue is these games are 20 plus years old and there's going to be disc rot. And at some point, these physical games are going to evaporate from the ability to even be used in the first place. So what do? I make digital backups, which is actually pretty cool. And then I can emulate those digital backups on my Steam Deck. Higher resolution, better frame rate, everything overall. That's what people want. The ability to have actual ownership of not just physical games, but also their digital ones as well. And I don't know why that's so hard for people to comprehend this aspect. Even if it is a live service game, you can have offline modes in those games. You can have things like private servers, like we had with Turtle WoW, even though that was closed down recently as well. Thanks, Blizzard. Nice job. And it isn't just the actual setup of private servers. Look what happened to WoW in China. They completely shut the entire thing down. Players spending thousands of hours making friends, making new ways of meeting people, and just enjoying a video game no longer had access to it since 2023. Money, time, friendships, all gone and evaporated, literally at the drop of a hat because of a licensing agreement with NetEase and Blizzard. But you know what? Thanks to this push by Stop Killing Games, it looks like we may in fact start turning the tide on what's happening with actual ownership of your games. And that's a good thing. With the article by PC Gamer saying this, it's amazing what a difference a little bit of time can make. 2 years after kicking off what looked to be a long shot campaign to push back on the practice of shutting down server-dependent video games once they're no longer profitable, Stop Killing Games founder Ross Scott and organizer Moritz Katzner appeared in front of European Parliament to present their case, and it seemed to go over very well. The whole thing is a bit dry, as parliamentary committees tend to be, but the conversation is interesting. Consultant Daniel Ondruska, for instance, said the Stop Killing Games movement is, quote, not trying to be unreasonable and isn't seeking eternal online support or retro reactivation for games that have already been shut down, just requirements to keep it from happening in the future. saying, quote, games that were developed 20 years ago still function, Ondruska said. Games that were developed 3 years ago, as it was mentioned before, don't. It's a design decision. It's a business decision. And look at that. Shocking, isn't it? A parliament person who probably doesn't play video games or doesn't even know anything about the gaming industry completely picked up exactly what the issue is. Even they understand that this is a business decision by publishers and developers to stop letting you have control of your video games. They want to monetize you. They want to make sure that you don't own anything, and they're trying to push you into all digital with total DRM to stop you having access to everything overall. It's why things like GOG are so important to me, why things like Steam are so important to me, and even why piracy is incredibly important to the gaming space for preservation purposes. It's exactly why so much is happening in the space right now to push people into all digital, literally stripping you away of actual ownership and putting you completely online and totally dependent upon them, the company, and the corporation. And this goes right back to the callback, like I said before, with Nintendo and their game keycards, and even charging $10 more for physical games. What they're trying to do is coerce you into a digital library instead, because it makes it harder for you to leave that ecosystem if you've pumped a ton of money into their digital space of games you cannot own, of games that you have no true access to, that they can take away and remove from you at any given time. But the article continues by saying this. After laying out in detail how game shutdowns actually occur, Scott, the Stop Killing Games founder, also weighed in on the business side of it, saying that when end-of-life planning is included in a game's development budget, the impact is, quote, very small. He added that some estimates for end-of-life costs by game studios are faulty because they factor in features that are no longer needed in an offline game. Katzner also said it's important to understand that this hearing was our first step into the public, into the legislative process, and that the committee is still reviewing Stop Killing Games' submission. But he continued, every single MEP present for the hearing expressed support for the initiative, and that for the purposes of the hearing, it was mission achieved. That's what I'm talking about, baby. You know what? I gotta say this. Pirate Software, thank you for everything. Thank you for going around and literally lying about Stop Killing Games the entire time. Thank you for going through and torpedoing your entire career, even though you know you're in the wrong, even though you knew you screwed up everything. And clearly, all you did was push us to the forefront. By the way, I was being sarcastic the entire time. Pirate Software really doesn't like me at all. But seeing this response has actually been fantastic. Watching how members of parliament are literally going around and understanding exactly what Ross from SKG is actually doing. Seeing California make also their own bill to back this up as well. If your only response to SKG is, oh, but the company has to put in extra work, well, they just proved that it's faulty at best and a negligible cost to make games offline. And my question to you would be this: why would you be against having proper ownership of the games that you pay for, of the games that you like to play, of the on-live service games that so many companies are now pushing, yet are pulling the plug on every single time after you have spent your hard-earned money? These businesses, these publishers, these devs, they're not your friends. They're not here to give you a better time or experience. They're trying to wring out every red cent from your back pocket, and defending them does absolutely nothing at all. Actually, you know what? Scratch that. It does do something. It shows developers and publishers that they can continue to take advantage of you every single time, and you'll gleefully accept it with a smile on your face. The exact kind of customer these companies in fact want. It's why we have season passes, battle passes, why we had online passes, why they tried to take away used games, why they went through and made everything online, why 80% of games now are bought digitally. Do right by your customers, do more for them, and they will give you the money that you so desperately crave. But the problem is these companies are doing everything they can to screw you out of that money every single time. But it looks like the way things are going, SKG may be changing that altogether. But as always, I want to hear what you guys got to say in the comment section down below. Do you agree with Stop Killing Games? Are you happy of their progress? Or are you more someone like Pirate Software who doesn't want to see any ownership whatsoever? I want to hear what you've got to say. Speaking about what you got to say, here's a comment of the day from Friday's video. With the Cosmic Thrust saying this: Valve is not the only one fighting for online sovereignty. They are just the largest and most popular. Cosmic, you are absolutely right. There are more people fighting online for our privacy and our sovereignty, and the thing is, we need to support those people as much as possible. Whether it's Valve fighting for their ability to have Linux and SteamOS without needing a photo ID, or SKG going around and fighting for your ability to actually own your video games, whether you bought them digitally or physically, we have to make sure that consumer protections are always protected, and that is the most important thing. But as always, if you guys want to see more of this kind of content though, more PC port reviews, gaming news, Steam Deck videos, fanboy content, and even live streams, subscribe to the channel. If you want Discord access or emotes during those live streams, become a YouTube member. It's as low as $1. Look, if you don't want to spend the buck, don't sweat it. Just come on down to the live streams, Saturday nights, 8:45 p.m. Eastern, live right here on the channel as I wear a banana suit and get insulted with text-to-speech. It's actually insane. Trust me, you don't want to miss it. Saturday nights, live, 8:45 p.m. Eastern, right here on the channel. Oh, and if you want even more content as well, check out my second channel, Oh No, It's Alex Gaming. New videos are up every single Monday. Check it out right now. There's new content and potentially daily gaming live streams as well. With all that being said, though, thank you guys so much for watching. Hope you have a great one, and I'll see you gooners next time. Peace!